Alright, we got yet another banger coming out of the Absolute Universe with Absolute Superman. This Superman absolutely does not mess around, and now that we've gotten Absolute Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman, I cannot wait for them to meet up. But let's get into it. Now we start on Krypton years ago, where we see there is a hierarchy ruling the planet, and the scientists are at the very top of this hierarchy. They are the elite class. They spend all of their time harnessing red sun energy to build gardens, to grow energy plants, and to satiate their hunger for progress. This place is ruled by science. Not only do they rule everyone on the planet, but they rule the planet itself. They even control the rain. Not only that, but you have to pay just for it to rain on your side of the planet, which sucks for people who are farmers, and we see Superman's mom helping one of the Kryptonians keep their harvester working because she is a mechanic. It looks like this version of Superman is still from a very hardworking family, people who are good with their hands. And we get a little bit more information when it comes to the corruption on Krypton, because years ago when Superman's mother was just 9 years old, she wrote an essay criticizing the fact that Krypton didn't have much interstellar exploration. Because of this, she was labeled unruly and she was never able to apply to the Science Academy, so she could never live out her dream to be an astronaut. They did this to a child. And in terms of writing, this is probably my favorite part of the comic, where it's explained that the class system runs so deep that you have different symbols that you have to wear on your chest all the time depending on what class you're in. The lowest class, the laborers, the poor, that is the S that we're used to in the original universe that means hope. But here it just means you're poor, that you're bottom of the rung, bottom of the class. But Superman's people wear it with pride. They're people that are used to getting by with their own two hands. Hard workers, children of the sun. They're told they're people of steel. They cooking with this, bruh. Like, they're cooking. This is an amazing part of the comic. Now we also get a quick introduction to Superman's father, Jor-El, and we see that he's a geological engineer. Looks like some of the Kryptonians are doing some mining, but there may be some safety concerns, so he's coming to make sure they're okay and that they're doing everything safely. And we get another example of the class system when the manager of all these Kryptonians tells him, look at my chest and look at yours, and tries to force him to listen. But Jor-El decides to tell everyone to go to the surface as he makes sure everything is safe. We see he's pretty selfless, something that may have rubbed off on Superman. Now we learn, just like Superman's mother, his father also had high aspirations to be in the Science Academy. He actually attended, and during his graduation speech, he condemned the reckless behavior of the other scientists who were constantly harvesting the natural resources of the planet. He told them it could lead to catastrophe, but they laughed him out of the building, out of his graduation and position, and now he's here risking his life. What I still find crazy, I know they're aliens and it's corrupt, so I shouldn't take it too seriously, but bro attended and basically graduated. He said one wrong thing during the graduation speech and had everything taken away. That is still really crazy. But to get back on task, Jor-El was actually right. Krypton was definitely doomed, and it was not about to go quietly. Now we skip into the present, where we see a bunch of poor people in Brazil are basically going through the exact same thing. Well, the planet's not about to blow up, but in the mine is a bunch of asbestos and they're being forced to mine regardless. Even when they try to leave because of the safety of themselves and their family, they're forced by what looks like an army of peacemakers to continue to mine at gunpoint. And they're promised hazard pay, but it doesn't really matter about hazard pay if you're dead, and they weren't offering them much anyway. So when they go back to the mines and kind of accept their fate, they see all of the asbestos is gone, all of the ore was crushed, and the diamonds are ready to be collected. Someone did it for them. Now, of course, we see it's actually Superman, but he's only been here for a few years, and we see he's kind of in and out. He's a hooded figure. He hasn't really had his footing yet. He's not really officially Superman. He's just kind of helping people as he goes by. And as he's kind of walking around with his head down and his hood up, he is stopped by one of the men that he helped, and they have a brief conversation, and we can kind of see he doesn't really know what he wants to do or what he wants to fight for. All we know so far is he definitely wants to help the poor, the people that can't defend themselves. And based on this conversation, I can only assume that these people are going to help this Superman figure out exactly what he wants to do moving forward. Now we see one of the peacemakers beating up Jay, trying to question him about what happened in the mine, how all the asbestos was cleared and everything was mined immediately even though they just walked in. And while Jay doesn't seem to be giving him any answers, one of the other peacemakers jumps in to let him know they did a head count and there's one worker missing. Clearly this is Superman. And probably the strangest part of the comic, to me so far at least, is we've got this Kryptonian looking solar panel with these wires connected to Superman, clearly to keep his powers charged. And I would think he would just soak it up through the skin. I thought this was so strange to see, but it is nice to see he still has some of his Kryptonian tech in this little poor village. Now we learned for the few years he's been on Earth, he's been running and constantly fighting Lazarus all over the planet, going place to place, helping the poor, defending the people who can't defend themselves. But currently in this moment he's in a weakened state, sun-starved, and we see Lazarus quickly approaching where he's hiding, and it looks like a fight is about to break out. I wouldn't even call this a fight though. Even in his weakened state, he completely blitzes all of the peacemakers and he finally decides to stand his ground. He doesn't want to leave, he doesn't want to run anymore. and he might actually find in this comic what's worth fighting for. But look at the suit. Look at the drip. Like, let's really look at this Superman. They cooked. I like the fact that this looks nothing outside of the crest. Looks nothing like our main Superman and still looks so goddamn cool. And another cool aspect of this version of Superman is he seems to have some kind of Kryptonian AI system built into the suit that's talking to him and advising him, helping him in combat, letting him know that he shouldn't exert himself the way he is because again, he is in a weakened state. He's strong enough to take on these soldiers, but they do have incredibly powerful equipment and after a while they will start to hurt him. He needs to leave. But it's too late. He stays entirely too long helping everyone and they do eventually find a weapon that can bring him down. This part of the comic I got pretty excited about, at least when I first read it, because they corner him, right? So he ends up using heat vision and frying everybody, but the way it's drawn, he was gathering so much solar energy and he's screaming out in pain. I thought he was gonna solar flare. Y'all know I recently made that video talking about how much I missed that ability and how I was kind of hoping they gave it to Absolute Superman since he's completely different. But no, it looks like it's just a massive blast of heat vision that does fry everyone and allows him to get a second to breathe, but not for long. And once again, we see something else from Soul, this AI Kryptonian system in his suit. He asks it to shut him down after his heat vision goes haywire. And another thing is when you see him holding his face, he is burning with solar energy. Clearly, this version of Superman's heat vision is very different and extremely powerful. And with this Superman being even more depleted, he's on wobbly legs, he doesn't really know what's going on, and he's immediately cuffed by Lois Lane. She is an agent of Lazarus in this universe. I would love to see how these two are gonna get together under these circumstances. I did not expect to see Lois here like this. And speaking of not expecting to see these people, we then skip straight to the Nevada desert where it looks like Brainiac works in the R&D department of Lazarus and he has an interest in Superman. They just throwing shit at us, bro. Whoa. So we got Brainiac and Lois at Lazarus. I mean, it would be pretty weird if he was a normal employee, so maybe he broke in. Either way, we see him in the R&D department staring at Superman obsessively. And we also see that this Brainiac still bottles cities. And we see these cities are asking to be killed, crying out in pain. This is a very menacing introduction to the villain Brainiac. And we skip right to Kansas where we see the Kent farm is abandoned, destroyed, and now owned by Lazarus. Definitely wondering what happened here, especially since we learned that this version of Superman has only been on this world for a few years. So I wonder if he actually met the Kents before whatever happened. Now we finally get back to Krypton in the past where we see Jor-El did make it out of that accident and he ends up coming back home. And although he took a bit of damage from the accident, he is now 100% certain the world is going to end. And what I found interesting about the way he's talking to Lara is it seems like when he asks her to remember how Krypton looks now before it's gone, that maybe they all survived this. Maybe he builds a ship for everybody and they just get lost. Like they just don't land where Cal lands. I think that would be yet another amazing twist in all the twists we've had in the Absolute Universe. That his parents are still alive, he just doesn't know where they are. Especially when you think about the fact that this version of Batman is not an orphan. It'd be cool if this version of Superman also wasn't an orphan and he kept at least one of his parents. Now we also get a shot of Kid Kal and Krypto as the family embraces and we see that the planet is already starting to deteriorate. And I've gotta say, I love this. Absolute Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman were all really good. If I had to say which one I liked the best, I think I enjoyed Absolute Wonder Woman the most. I had to really think about that. I think, and it's close, they're all really good, but I really enjoyed Absolute Wonder Woman. In terms of like the twists and stuff, outside of Batman actually having a mom, because that dude just cannot have parents, the Absolute Universe has been an absolute roller coaster. I mean, Circe is basically the mom of Wonder Woman, Superman actually grew up on Krypton, Lois is a bad guy, Alfred is some kind of secret agent trying to hunt and kill Batman. It's crazy. The Absolute Universe has been great, and I've been enjoying every moment of it, but I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will catch you on the next one.